Well, hello, I'm with Dr Mark Claydon-Smith, Head of Manufacturing at EPSRC. Mark, the EPSRC has, with government, recently launched funding for 9 new centres for innovative manufacturing to top up the 3 that were launched at the beginning of last year, making 12 in total, which is actually quite a sizable and robust investment in really driving the kind of great research that these university departments do into the commercial field. Can you tell me a bit about how your work and the work of the centres sort of ties in with the national manufacturing debate?
Sure. All of the narrative around industrial competitiveness in this country and elsewhere in the world has at the heart of it this concept of innovation. About change, about new products, about new processes, about competitiveness, and about looking to the future in a changing world, about dealing with, if you like, the challenges of society in terms of energy, in terms of resources, in terms of ageing demography, and the new products that you need to support that society. So the demands on manufacturing and manufactured goods are changing, and it's inevitable that scientific discovery and engineering know-how are necessary to deliver those new products, those new processes, and meet those societal challenges. So EPSRC, in its role, is very much underpinning the totality of that activity. So our role is to develop the new scientific understanding, the new engineering insights that will deliver in the long term those new innovations. Our other role is to develop the new research engineers, the people that will then drive the economy over the long haul. So our role is very much in terms of basic sciences, core physical sciences, also the engineering sciences, and then through into manufacturing. So it's quite a broad platform of skills and knowledge that underpins manufacturing. Our impact is over a whole magnitude of timescales. So we can see that a lot of the research we support might take decades to come to fruition, but in the long run it will be transformational in terms of its impact. It's things, technologies such as the laser, for example. In other areas, the impact can be much quicker. And certainly if we're developing people who are true innovators, who leave university as engineers and researchers and technologists, the impact can be quite fast. But nonetheless, we are very much driving from pushing this whole knowledge economy. One thing we've done over many years, many decades actually, is support manufacturing research, which is how you pull together science and engineering knowledge to contribute towards this manufacturing competitiveness. And the latest step in that process is to organise around a number of national centres. So we started off with 3 centres, and now we've just announced another 9. But those are 9 centres in areas that we've identified as offering real potential and they meet real needs for the UK economy. They're a different approach to how we've organised things before, but they're very much seen as part of this national scene. So within their space, every centre has a quite focused strategic objectives, a strategic focus, and they're very much on issues and themes which are relevant now in terms of research, but are likely to have a significance over a number of years into the future.
It's interesting that when you look at the gamut of those 12 centres, there are some familiar names there, such as photonics at Southampton, but also less familiar names, I mean, depending on which section of manufacturing you're in, such as regenerative medicine, even though that was one of the original centres. But I think many people would wonder, there's not much money in the system, we need to capitalise on the UK's core strengths. Where do we deploy these resources and this money? to really achieve the best results with what limited resources we have. How has EPSRC with BIS perhaps selected those 12 centres above others perhaps which haven't been lucky to get the funding?
To answer that question, you have to roll back a little bit. And one thing we've done over the last 2 years is to try and understand how well we're doing in this country in manufacturing research. So part of that was inviting a panel of experts from around the world to come and look at our research portfolio, to tell us what's good and what's not so good about it, the areas of strength, the things that we need to take pride in, those things that we perhaps need to look more closely at. So that was very much a precursor to when we actually commissioned the centres and went through a call. We also did an exercise of looking around the world at other countries and how they organise themselves, and a benchmark study looking at how things are organised in America and Germany and Singapore, Sweden, and what are the lessons about how they manage things that we can relate to ourselves. And the final thing we did was to look at the impact of our previous investments. And one of the clear findings from that review was that how a centre was organised makes a material difference in terms of how it interacts with business and how ultimately you get the impact from that research. So it's all of those lessons that we've tried to apply in, firstly, how we commission the centres, but then more importantly, how they operate into the future. So one of the key things that we did with the new centres was insist that they were co-created with business. So that was a prerequisite, and that means that it wasn't a professor in a university thinking of an idea and then trying to sell it to industry and then gathering letters of support and so on. Right from the very start, we were looking for ideas that were developed and co-produced jointly with companies. So that the case had to be made for the excellent research, but also the case in terms of the long-term benefit was also very evident. And that was very much at the heart of our approach. The other thing we've learned...
There's a strong emphasis on long-termism.
That's our role.
That's
what we do that nobody else does.
I see. Which ties in well to the national manufacturing debate.
Right, yeah.
One of its core pillars is opportunities to develop long-term employment.
Right. Yeah. The other feature we observed when we looked elsewhere is the importance of leadership, and actually having people who have the personal capability, the charisma, the knowledge, the expertise, and the credibility both in the scientific community but critically with business, with government, and in broader society. So that people can actually act as the national leader in their research area. And again, that was one of the key considerations when we brought these forward.
So the personality is very important to these centres,
right. Yeah, because they are national centres. Some of them are focused around one institution, but the majority are actually more than one institution. And we expect them to be nationally focused and internationally ambitious. So.
Well, I'm afraid we've run out of time, but Dr Mark Claydon-Smith from the EPSRC, very best of luck with the centres. I think it's a fantastic investment and a great, I think, example of how government is engaging with the real needs of long-term manufacturing. So Dr Mark Claydon-Smith, thanks very much.
Thank you.